that same number? Okay.
No,
So,
should
right,
be here, we went from lots of projects to home projects and lots of COVID stuff.
Thank you for. Calling the meeting to order, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now we did the same thing.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since we have 4 board members present, I don't need to establish quorum that way, but we do have 4 present and 1 via phone, Kate Parker. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of a meeting held May 11th?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I'll take
Aye.
roll call since we have 1 phone in. Board Member Tolke?
Aye.
Board Member Ryder?
Aye.
Board Member Baker?
Aye.
Board Member Parker?
Aye.
And Board Member Mickelson, aye. We did not have anyone wishing to address the board sign up. Mr. Vick? No, thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. I'll take roll call. Board Member Tolke.
Aye.
Board Member Ryder.
Aye.
Board Member Baker. Board Member Parker.
Aye.
Board Member Benkelson? Aye. On to the good news report.
Good evening, everyone. You may have heard a collective sigh of relief over the weekend as 1,564 Sioux Falls High School seniors became high school graduates. Those students were no doubt breathing a sigh of relief along with their parents, their teachers, and their administrators. The circumstances obviously caused by COVID-19 made the graduation of the class of 2020 anything but normal. Despite not being able to gather with their classmates, many of tomorrow's leaders made the weekend extra special by writing their own script for what graduation celebrations might look like. Those spirits were down in many cases. Many only had to look up to receive their 15 seconds of fame. Local businessman Paul Hilt contacted us a few weeks ago to offer to display the names and photos of graduates on his electronic billboards in 2 places in Sioux Falls. That offer, of course, was very generous. The task of assembling pictures and names of 1,564 graduates for his template at that same time that we were trying to create graduations for 4 high schools was a little daunting, to say the least. But realizing how important this was to families and how cool it would be for seniors to have their moment on a billboard, schools went to work. Unfortunately, we ran into a couple snags along the way. Ultimately, we determined it would be better to just use the same slides that we were using for graduations instead of creating new templates. Unfortunately, after we had that done, there was another software snag. The design software we were using was not compatible with the billboard software. Just when we thought all hope was lost, our multimedia specialist, Carly Youthy, found a solution. And it wouldn't just be a click of a button, but it would be easier than starting all over again. So all of that head scratching was worth it by a couple of simple pictures that we show you right now. If you can see the cars outlined there in the red oval and the red circle, when we drove past these billboards on Friday and Saturday, we were ecstatic to see cars sitting in parking lots with dozens of people standing outside waiting for the moment that their student would show up on the big screen. All of that frustration, all of that work that led up to that was erased by the simple knowledge that people were out there enjoying and making a memory when so many of their memories had been taken from them. And to see, with, of course, drone footage from our Ben Schumacher, who doesn't do anything halfway, it was just wonderful to see that that was a moment that was unexpected and we just couldn't prepare for that moment. And it made graduation, with so many things taken away from these students, it made their day a special day. And so we are grateful to Paul Hilt for raising the spirits of our students and parents in a very meaningful and memorable way for them. So again, all the headache and heartache is captured right there. And it was great for our team to see people enjoying that moment. And hopefully 1,564 students have more time in the spotlight to come as they do great things for our community, for our state, and for our nation.
Well, thank you to all of you for both the graduation and working with Paul Hilt, and thank you to Paul Hilt for this generous donation. I saw so many posts this weekend with families going and taking, and just, that's something new we've never done before.
Right.
So what a great experience for these students to have that opportunity to see their face up on a big billboard. And
Absolutely, and just then for us to see from that viewpoint and vantage point, all those cars sitting there watching and waiting was just, that's what it's all about.
Thank you. And Dr. Maher.
Yeah, if you would let me to maybe weigh in just a little bit here. At the last board meeting we had Molly Satter here, who was our health services coordinator, and we talked about how in COVID-19 their department got busier, not less busy. And we had Becky Dorman here from Human Resources, and we talked about how Human Resources got busier, not less busy. Another department would be Deanne's department. And there were a whole lot of people putting in a whole lot of extra time. But Deanne, Ben Schumacher, and Carly Youthy did absolutely incredible work. In fact, yesterday after I watched the New Tech graduation, the first graduation, texted 3 in a row to Carly, Ben, and Deanne and just said, job well done. And I can't state that publicly enough. They went, we all think we go above and beyond. They really went above and beyond. What the technological glitches that they overcame were no small matter. The time that they put in was no small matter. So when Deanne talks about 1,564 kids now having a memory, it's truly because of the work of a lot of people, specifically Deanne and Ben and Carly. So thank you.
We appreciate that, but I will tell you, none of us lives for comments like that. We live to see other people enjoying the work that we do. So thank you for the public acknowledgement, but that right there really captures why we do what we do and why we love it.
I also had parents reach out to me who were not looking forward to this graduation, who were overjoyed with the results. So thank you for putting all that work in. Okay, on to conflicts of interest. No new conflicts were presented to the board. We'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda, items 9A through H. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll take roll call vote. Board Member Tolke.
Aye.
Board Member Ryder.
Aye.
Board Member Baker.
Aye.
Board Member Parker.
Aye.
And Board Member Mickelson. Aye. That's approved unanimously. On to the supplemental consent agenda. First 10A, claims to Sanford Medical Center. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye or abstain. Board Member Tolke,
Aye.
Board Member Ryder,
Abstain.
Board Member Baker,
Aye.
Board Member Parker,
Aye.
and Board Member Mickelson abstain. That passes with 3 ayes and 2 abstentions from Board Member Ryder and Board Member Mickelson. On to 10B, claims to Avera Health. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Board Member Tolke,
Aye.
Board Member Ryder,
Aye.
Board Member Baker,
Aye.
Board Member Mickelson, aye, and Board Member Parker. Thank you. Passes with 4 ayes and 1 abstention from Board Member Parker. On to the reports of the superintendent.
Thank you. We have 3 reports tonight. The first report of this evening is a K-12 library program update. This update comes from Curriculum Services and will be delivered by Ann Smith.
Good evening. In the summer of 2018, Sioux Falls School District librarians began work to evaluate the work they do, how their work matches the district's strategic plan, and how to move forward to ensure that our library program effectively supports student learning. Informed by standards from the American Association of School Librarians and the South Dakota School Library Standards, the librarians articulated their mission statement, encouraging all students to become lifelong academic and recreational readers, and ensuring that we teach all students how to be responsible consumers and producers of information. As I move through this report, I've interspersed some pictures to give you a feeling for how our libraries are busy, vibrant programs that have been developed by school librarians to achieve their mission. The theory of action that drives what we do is to ensure that our school district libraries embrace an innovative environment with high expectations that is equitable and responsive to our patrons' needs, We know that if we do that, we will promote a culture of lifelong learning necessary for success in a changing world. Ultimately, our goal is to ensure equitable student access to learning that is supported by effective school library pedagogy and resources across the district. There's a body of research going back over 30 years that shows a positive correlation between effective library programs and higher achievement in reading. 13 years ago, the Sioux Falls School District invested a significant amount to ensure all students had access to relevant and engaging materials. Since that time, ongoing funding challenges have resulted in collections that are once again starting to show their age. So one of our priority strategies is to focus on being sure that our nonfiction collections are brought up to date. This will be achieved not just by purchasing new materials, but also ensuring that we pull out older materials that have become outdated. Effective library programs are achieved through the synergy of the place, the program, and the professional. The state library has instituted the exemplary 21st Century School Library Award to both recognize and encourage outstanding library programs, and to ensure that we raise awareness of what it takes to be an effective library program. Currently, 11 of our schools have libraries that have earned this distinction. Another priority strategy in this plan is to ensure that all libraries in the district complete the self-evaluation necessary and earn the award. Staying on top of technology is essential in today's library. In the full plan you received, you saw the technology standards developed to ensure our libraries are well equipped. These recommendations will become part of the district's technology plan. Supporting adequate staffing will ensure that our libraries are able to continue moving toward effective service and effectively coordinate with the public library. One project that unfortunately went on hold due to the coronavirus was a plan to ensure that all Sioux Falls School District students have a public library card. That project will resume when it can, and having a library coordinator, a district-wide library coordinator, will help ensure that we can facilitate that process. With that, I would ask that the board acknowledge the K-12 library program update.
Thank you, Ann. I just, libraries are just such a wonderful place for students, and I was unaware how much the audiobooks, for example, cost, like $75 for one, and what an important tool that is for especially like our dyslexic or our ELL students, because they can hear while they're reading along. And that's why it's so important for us, like with working with our private partnerships to help fund those additional, especially those schools that don't have a PTO and so forth. So I'm glad to see that this plan is in place and that it's going forward, and I'm excited as well to see when that library card implementation, because every student in our district then will have a library card, and it will be a limited checkout. They can't do as many as like a normal card, but they still will be able to check out books and so forth. So an additional resource for them to have books. So I'm excited. Any other questions for Ann?
I know my kids in their library experiences have talked about so many things aside from even just books. And so when you talk about them really being leaders in instruction, I think that's so true, whether it's maker spaces or introducing them into different types of ways to be creative and use literature. I think it's so important. So always changing and always evolving to keep those kids engaged and maybe reading in non-traditional ways, but still utilizing the skills that are necessary to continue their literacy. So thank you for the update.
And Thomas Jefferson, arguably one of the most well-read presidents of that, well, people really of that time, would say that without an informed electorate, democracy will fail. And so establishing the importance of reading at a young age is so critically important and easy to overlook. But when you take a step back and look at what research says, certainly readers are leaders. And thank you for the time and the dedication that you and the libraries have put towards that effort.
Do you have a motion to acknowledge the K-12 library program?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
I'll take roll call. Board Member Tolke?
Aye.
Board Member Ryder?
Aye.
Board Member Baker? Aye. Board Member Parker? Aye. Board Member Mickelson? Aye. Thank you, Ann. On to summer lunch program. And she was in the-
Thank you. Our second,
I
our
checked
our
with-
second
I
report.
didn't want you to think I forgot.
You knew right where I was
where
going.
you're going. I
You knew
asked
right where I was
her.
going. Thank you. Our second report this evening is a Child Nutrition Services update. Here to talk to us about that is Joni Davis. Joni, we haven't seen you in a while, but I've seen your work all over the community. So, welcome.
We've been busy. Thank you for the opportunity to update you in terms of the recap of child nutrition services for our fourth quarter and our programs that we're providing and provide information to you about those for this summer. First of all, the child nutrition services programs that we offer here for summer program in Sioux Falls correlate with the USDA program that's been in place since 1975 for summer food service. And the Sioux Falls district has been involved at least the last 35 years. So we're very excited about that. But with the COVID-19 experience that we have had, this summer's food service program will have a much different appearance with an array of different new programs and distribution methods that we're going to be working on. And of course, following the social distancing has been a priority for us at all times with staff and students and families. Typically, the summer program is meant to provide meals as a continuance for breakfast and lunch programs that districts operate, and so it provides the place for kids to come and have a meal. Child Nutrition Services has, in the school lunch and school breakfast program, been very busy and have had sites always throughout the city in the summertime to provide those meals. We have 7 sites that were operating currently during this last quarter of the year, and those sites have been and will continue this summer. A site can be eligible if it has 50% free or reduced students. It can have a summer program. And there are additional factors that we always consider when we're thinking about a site, because we want to think about the city and the community and how dispersed we are amongst it. And those things are additional factors being past participation at a site, the walking traffic that can come to the school, community partners who may participate in programs and bring kids to sites, and building availability. As I stated above, this summer will be different because USDA, or the United States Department of Agriculture, has issued some key waivers that's helped us function this last quarter and made things much easier to cope with the COVID issues. The waivers have been extended through August 31st, which is very good news. The key waivers that are in place were those that removed the requirement for congregate feeding, for mealtime flexibility and area eligibility. And those waivers in themselves allowed Child Nutrition Services to provide meals for students when school buildings were closed by the governor as emergency order in March and extended through the end of the year. Because of this flexibility, the district has established drive-up and grab-a-go sites consisting of prepackaged breakfast kits, sack lunches at various schools. And the sites that we had operating are Laura B. Anderson, Lowell, Terry Redland, Hawthorne, Hayward, Annie Sullivan. In addition, we also had Susan B. Anthony, who we provided meals for as they were offering a program for emergency daycare for children of healthcare workers and first responders. The district also then provided meals along with homework to students at over 100 bus stops on 16 different routes for over 15 elementary schools. And we've listed those here for you: Cleveland, Laura Wilder, Renberg, Rosa Parks, Oscar Howe, JFK, John Harris, Garfield, Discovery, Elementary, Immersion Center, plus also middle school and high school students that could come to these sites could also join us. Now, from March 16th to May 19th, we have served 91,242 breakfasts, 90,628 lunches to families in need. Last summer, we served a little over 28,000 meals. The feeding program that we're going to continue with then will go through August 14th at the sites listed above, plus the food service center we're going to add and have that be a grab and go. So we hope that can capture people that maybe can't make it into town or the other sites we have listed here for you. The USDA waiver allows Child Nutrition Services to continue providing drive-up and grab-and-go meals, and those will be provided on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:30 to 12:30. On each day of distribution, we'll be providing 2 breakfasts and 2 lunches to the children who pick up meals. The district, we also qualified for another program called Meals to You. Yes, and that program was established with the pandemic taking place with COVID-19, and it's for children from the age of 1 through 18. And the criteria here are those that qualify for free and reduced meals at schools that are 50% or more free and reduced. We have, with the Meals to You program, the exciting part of that, and we've just got the enrollment forms back now that have been sent in, and we have 2,644, I believe I shared with Todd, out of 5,700 students that have been enrolled. And what will happen then is they will receive 10 days of meals, 10 breakfasts and 10 lunches that are going to be delivered directly to their doors, either by UPS, Postal Service, or FedEx. The program runs through June 30th. All the schools with bus routes listed above qualify except for Oscar Howe, JFK, John Harris, and Discovery. Now, McGovern and Whittier schools, in addition to a handful of programs over at Axtell Park, also qualify. The district will continue running bus routes through June 30th to those 4 elementary schools that don't qualify. The district will, the district will continue to run those routes through June 30th for those elementary schools, as I just mentioned, and we'll be using 30 Child Nutrition Service members, staff members, to provide those meals and get those together. We try to use 2 shifts of people, and we're using all the safety precautions that Molly so diligently provides to us and the questions that she answers, and we're certainly using face coverings and preparing and delivering meals in all the appropriate manners that we can assure the community and the district that we are following and doing.
Any questions for Joni?
I was just doing some easy math in my head to think that in the last 9 weeks, we served 180,000 meals compared to 28,000 last summer. Is that correct? Which is insane. I mean, that's a crazy amount of food. That's a crazy amount of hours worked for you and your staff, and the organization that it would take to coordinate all of that to get food out to all of our community that needed it. So kudos to all of you for jumping in when, you know, I think sometimes it's easier to stay home and kind of barricade yourself and think what if, but to get out and say I'm here and I'm committed to the community and to the kids that we need to serve. So thank you very much for that. Is a huge amount of food that and security and comfort that you were able to offer to our students. So thank you.
And we thank you for the support that you offer us to do this, because that is our mission, day to day, to feed kids. And so we're very excited that we can do this and this opportunity, given this opportunity, if you will, to continue that service. And so you're right, we have a fabulous staff. So they've done a terrific job. So thank you for noting that.
Is there a deadline for people to apply for the Meals to You program?
Yes, the deadline was last Thursday, but we chose to extend that to Friday, midnight, 11:59 to be exact.
Perfect. So families, if you're watching or listening, or anybody who spread that news, and they qualify for this program, right? If they live in those schools, but
And they completed the enrollment. They
Right,
did have to
yeah.
complete an enrollment form, of which we had people at buildings to assist them and help. And with that, then they will be receiving information from the Meals to You program, which is through Baylor University and USDA combination, and they'll be receiving information that they've been approved. We're just, today, we got the massive file to do the things we need to do to get it back to them, so.
and isn't that a conjunction with local farmers too? I think they're trying to, like, some of the waste that farmers were dumping. I think that's how the program originally started at Baylor University with the food.
It could be, it's directly tied to a lot of those feeding
Yeah.
children is huge for them, and so this is something that they've taken on. And being shelf-stable food packages is what will come to the families, so that's really exciting. But you're right, it's things like orange juice and peanuts and all the kinds of things that would make up the meal patterns that would be required.
Thank you for, I was talking to you before the meeting about, if we're back in school in the fall, what that might look, lunch might change as well. Are students going to have to eat in their classroom instead of going to the large lunchroom and those type of things? So you being adaptable and keeping on top of everything helps us be able to serve all of our students. So we really, really appreciate all your hard work on doing this, Joni. It's very,
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Takes a team, that's for sure, all of us.
Any other questions or comments for Joni?
Well, it's easy to overlook food and start thinking about self-actualization and some of those features, but truly it's foundational. Thinking about the Maslow ladder needs, it's a foundational piece that you're providing, critically important.
We get many thank yous and a lot of people very appreciative of what we're doing and have available to them. So that always makes us feel good also. Well, with that, then what I would like from the board then is if there would be acknowledgement of the report for this evening.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to acknowledge the report on child nutrition summer programs?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Board Member Tolkien.
Aye.
Board Member Ryder.
Aye.
Board Member Baker. Board Member Parker. Aye. And Board Member Mickelson. Aye. Thank you, Joni.
Thank you.
Good one.
Our final report of this evening is the capital improvement plan update. This comes to us from operational services, and from operational services is Jeff Kreider.
Good evening. Okay, we're going to do a little video, and hopefully I can say everything that's on my list as we go through here. So we'll be a little more informal than typically are. So you ready to go? Okay, we're going to bring you 5 projects, the CIP projects that we have going, including the 2 large ones. Okay, we're going to start with Lower Wilder. This project, as you know, has a new playground entrance. We're building tutor rooms, IEP facilitators, counselors' offices. As you can see, it started here. We began this project in mid-April. The footing and foundations are underway. As you can see, it's on the east side of the building. This project also is renovating 8 restrooms inside the building. That work is, we started, we took advantage of kids not being there. Pretty much all the demo is complete. They're doing plumbing rough-ins now. They're furring out the walls. They're doing masonry inside where we're putting new entrances to those restrooms. The big portion that you see is the outside. Moving on to Horace Mann. Oh, I should stop that. I want to talk about a little bit about the Lower Wilder. Masonry is going to start in probably the end of this month. They're working inside on masonry walls. There is one hitch with the COVID-19 is the elevator. The elevator will not be here until about October. So just so you're aware of that, we'll probably have to enclose where the doors are. Then we'll have to schedule a holiday or something when they can put it in. They'll need about a week to install it. So we'll work with the buildings on what might work for that. But everything else is going. That's the only hiccup I know of with COVID-19 as we talk now.
I told the media today we had no supply chain issues. I was wrong.
Other than that elevator, it's been really good. We've had some ceramic tile that we've had to change out and do some things, but we've been able to overcome everything that I know of today. So that's good.
That is good news.
Okay, moving on to the Horace Mann. If you look at the right side of this picture, you can see they've done quite a bit of work since that time, but we're renovating 6 restrooms inside. We're re-roofing this portion right in front where we're tying into. Updating fire alarm, clocks, intercom systems, floor tile throughout the building, and replacing the main chiller. So you can see here, there's two locations where we've done the sewer and water service relocations and tie-ins because they were in the location of the building. Actual footings are going in now. They've dug that since they filmed this, and so the footings have been poured, and now they're working on foundation walls. You can see we tore out the front of the building. That was some of the old office, because there were some bathrooms and some counselors areas, and that will be where the new portions go. And this building will wrap around all the way to the back end of that, and the new mechanical units will be installed. So all the demo from the inside is complete. They're starting to do some, this is going faster than I thought. I can't talk as fast as this video. We're replacing some galvanized piping. All the corridor tile has been pulled out, so we're starting to put back. I always say is, you gotta remember, we were only supposed to start this today, you know? So we're quite a bit ahead of where we should be on the inside. So feel really good about that and where we were able to what we were able to get accomplished. So Robert Frost, I'm just gonna, before I go through this, security entrance in the front portion of this, we're expanding the gymnasium on the back, doing kindergarten restrooms inside and 2 kindergarten areas. And then we'll be doing the front drop-off area in the east portion of that, right in the front of that, right above Robert Frost, and replacing the chiller, updating intercom and clock systems, and replacing corridor floor tile. So I'll get this started. Part of this is we've had to coordinate the power lines that ran in front of the building. That has been done. We've replaced that. The second phase of that is linking IPC that routes through that, and then we're going to be able to eliminate all those power lines. And Excel is complete, so June 5th they'll do the IPC shutdown and linking in. We're just sitting there coiled up ready to go with that. And if you notice all the flashing lights that were happening over there, that was Midco. I'll stop that there. Midco Communication has to do relocate their fiber lines on those poles as well. So they're getting that and getting ready for the June 5th tear down, and then they'll be able to pull all those poles, and it'll be a nice clean look in the front of that. We had to relocate the main sewer line around the front addition. That's complete. We also had to extend storm and sewer on the back portion of the addition. That has all been complete. Footings and foundation are complete. All the interior sewer for the new bathrooms and what we're doing in there is done, all the interior demo. So we're already starting to put walls up, and things are starting to look. We did find something today that kind of surprised us. There was a Siamese fire connection in the front that was buried into the wall. So I don't know when that came and how that was, but well before my time, and might have been original. And they, so trying to find out where that goes and what that part. So we're always, and that's right in the middle of the corridor where the new corridor goes out to the new entrance. So I always say is once you get done with demo, all the unknowns start becoming less unknown, because you never know what you're going to run into. We did run into some electrical conduits in the floor that we had to cut open, so we have to deal with some of that. You'll see some change orders on some of those things, but as we come forward. But I think we've got most of all the demo done on all 3 of these, so we shouldn't have too many big issues that we have to deal with as we move forward. So as you can see with this picture, the front entrance, the walls are about 80%. Next week, I believe, the wood, the beams and wood decking is supposed to arrive, so you'll start seeing that. We designed this front to look like the other schools, so you have exposed wood in the front offices, and you'll have those columns that come out, and it'll look very similar to what the architecture is here. It's not moving. Okay, there we go. And then you'll have the drop off and the flag will move, and there'll be that Mr. Beek's rock will be part of a new landscaping area as you go up through there. So we've kind of tried to take in some of those account. And you'll go right into the front office, then you'll queue around where you can card reader in for staff, and you have to go into the office and go out through a secured door. The back side is the footing, and this will be an expansion of the gymnasium. There'll be a curtain wall that will divide the two. The building is working with us on getting some bleachers put in on the end for when they have plays or concerts and whatnot. So we'll be working on getting that included. And you can see the entrance will stay. The existing exterior storage will become gym storage, and then we're building a new exterior storage to the west of that. The gym wall is taken down. That's a temporary wall that you're seeing there. And they have started the masonry portion. So this rain has kind of slowed them down a little bit, but I would bet tomorrow you'll start seeing them back again.
Everything's so green, like it almost looks fake.
Yeah, it does. So this is kind of a different vantage point as you come over the roof and see the inside of what the office will be. Where that beam is will be the main entrance into the office area. And then what you see on the left is that will be the main corridor that will go out where kids can go out and bypass the office. And the principal's offices will be on the right side of that. Okay, then let's move on to Ben Rifle Middle School. This one's coming along. Site utilities are all complete. Football field and track, if you look on the left side of that, they're grading now. That's been kind of put on hold for about a week and a half now with this rain. The drainage around the football field will take place once they get to final grades and tie into the storm sewer that's out there. All the utilities and everything on Faith Avenue, that would be on the right side, is complete. They're putting gravel base on Faith Avenue and the back service drive now. You can kind of start seeing some of that lighter brown. That's a gravel base going in, and the curbs will start shortly after that. If you look at A3, that's the portion, that's that single story. That roof is on, that pretty much all the ductwork and plumbing, electrical rough-ins are all complete in there. All the floors are done. Fire sprinklers are in. As you move around here, I'm gonna bounce around. That section, that lower section there is the music area. That's a storm shelter that has precast panels with a concrete slab on the top of it, and roof will go on that. That's ready to go. What you see with the footings and that dugout, those kind of triangular sections, that's the auditorium footings. That's all complete. And then the right portion is the gym. So all those footings are in place, ready to go. They don't intend to start that until probably in July. They're working their way around. A1 is that far portion now that you get, that should pop up here pretty quick. I'll kind of stop it here so we can talk about that. A1 is that far right portion. You kind of, all the decking and structure is there. There's a penthouse in the middle, and they're setting precast panels there, and it kind of got slowed up because one panel wasn't, it was bowed. It had a camber in it, so they had to get it remade. And then they'll finish tying that up. And that's where the mechanical roof sits. On the A2 is the next one on the right, and the library sits in the middle where the cranes are. They're working on bearing walls now. They were projecting to probably be done by the end of this week with all the bearing walls in A2, so the roof structure can start going on. And then the penthouse floor, and then they'll build that. They're working on the link between them. I don't know if we get a better picture of that. At the library, or that curved library where that big crane is, so they're finishing that up now, and they're basically going to work from east to west and around, and they feel the gyms will go fast. So that construction will happen, but the majority of the work, you know, with the interior, the corridors, and the walls that are non-bearing get filled in. So when it rains like this, they drop back into A2. Pretty much everything in A1 and A3 is complete for walls inside. On the lower level, all the floors are poured. All of, probably 80% of the floors in A2 are poured. And then they'll start with that. So we're just working our way down. And then once they get A2 done, the roof on A1, they'll probably start putting the curved barrels over the library and get that done. So the commons, there's a lot of just columns that go up there. And so that should go fairly quickly. And you can kind of see the main football field, auditorium, commons, and gym. So right now, everything looks and appears to be on schedule, and the contractor assures us that they are. And so things are going well. And basically what we have to do is finalize the cost sharing with the adjoining properties of Faith. Furniture and equipment, I've been working on those sheets. Staff is supposed to give us the specialty listings before they left. So Teresa and I will be going through that and looking at that. And we'll get this probably furniture and equipment package out prior to the high school. So we're getting quite far along, talking with Shane, and we'll be sitting down with him as well to coordinate that. So he's part of it. He's in the loop of what we're doing. We're trying to do some of the graphics that came into the gym portion and get the colors right. So he's starting to get integrated into those things. We've got the cameras, the card readers, all those sort of pieces together. Just got the phone quotes last week, and they're all looking good. So things are coming along pretty nicely. Flying out of here and moving over to the other side of town here in a minute. Hey, Jefferson High School. All site water, sewer, and storm sewer has been complete. The city did their tie-ins for the sewer down on Marion Road, so that makes me feel better that I won't have to worry about where the sewer is going when we open this thing. If you look on Terry Avenue, which is the right portion, they've started curb and gutter on that. That is complete now, the curb and gutter. They're actually looking at maybe paving that end of this week, first part of next week on Terry Avenue. They're kind of routing us now through different ways, and I think they're going to eliminate this parking lot and move us down further. We had a project meeting today and talked about some of that. So north football field, as we get back there, the football field is graded. You'll be able to see, when I get to that, we'll start there. But what you see there is a gymnasium. That is completely roofed and dried out. They poured the floors in the gym. They poured the walkings around it. They're actually where the wrestling room, where the fitness center is, and gymnastics room, they're actually painting those rooms now. All the rough-ins and mechanical, electrical rough-ins are complete. They're going to schedule this week to pour the auxiliary gym. That would be that far, the one to the bottom at the gym. At the main entrance, the office area is roofed. The structure is on, the roof is on, the floor is now poured, and they're going to start steel studding and putting the walls up the end of this week and into next week. And each one of those houses, those learning houses, they're at different phases. The first one, E, is the farthest along. All the masonry is complete in there. They're doing sheetrock inside. The longest one, the one you see is the steel frame, that's the H, that's the new tech wing. And that will be the last one done. So that's the last one, and they hope to be by July, having that completely enclosed and roofed, and going really well. As you can see, that little horseshoe there, that's the tech ed area. They're using that to feed that center portion, which is the welding area, to feed into the auditorium. So there's a lot of work in the auditorium, and that's where they're getting their lifts and everything. As you can see, that left parking lot, they've already installed the curbing. They've installed the curbing on the main entrance. And it's the intent to have all the landscaping and everything done this fall. So it's gonna really look different. Our goal is to have the practice fields all complete, the track in, the football field, tennis courts, and have that all seated, probably in August, so we have a good month or so to get some establishment before winter hits, but to get that done. Put this on so you can see the Marion Road progress is happening. That front where you see that little shape, that's a retention ponds where the water will sift through there. I think that's it for that. And so there's a lot happening. Whoops, we're looping back. They're actually putting tennis court fence posts up now. So you'll start seeing that. They've got the base all in. And once they get the posts in, they'll do that's a post tension rebar. So they load that up and so it doesn't crack. And if it does crack, it stays together. And they're gonna start doing that here shortly too. So a lot going on. They got a lot of people. There's about 150 people working on this site every day. And it's interesting watching how they're separating people and wash stations, and they're really paying attention. We do our project meetings online, so the project team members aren't all together and get infected. So we're trying to be social distance, but then we all run out and tour the site anyway. So, but we stay away from one another, and so we separate that. So we brought Dan in a lot of discussions. We had a big meeting on marker board and tack boards that probably didn't follow our standards. So we went through all that with Dan and what he wanted. And so we're taking care of that. We're, as I go through these plans and do furnishings, I find these little things that, that we have to address and get those. So, but the goal is to have the building done correctly at the end of the day. And we're in a good position on all these. And I think it's working out well. We did have vendors in and did some test rooms at Washington High School. We didn't get a whole lot of, staff members using them. So we'll have to see which one Dan likes and what his first response is as we start putting those packages together. So that's what we will start working on now. Like I said, the input sheets for all the high school, for the athletics, music, and whatnot, I know they're working on them. And so right now, that project stays on track and is on schedule, and I'm just here to answer any questions you might have. So.
Did I hear Todd Beek was going to donate the learning stairs at Jefferson?
What's that?
Did I hear Todd Beek was going to donate the learning stairs at Jefferson too?
Yeah, they're not poured yet. They're just metal deck.
I bet he's very excited to go see those.
Yep. You'll when we get some people out there to tour it, I think you're going to see the best spot is on that second level, right by that learning suite. You can see the library, you can see the houses, you can see down the hall, then you can see that learning suite, and the exterior lighting is just be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really starting to, you'll be able to see what it really looks like.
That's just awesome.
And we made a change right at the end. I don't know how many people know that, but they had a 40-foot vestibule, and that's just a waste of space. So we filled that top in. It was actually about the same cost. So they got one of the the nicest lounge, or could be conference rooms or some type of meeting rooms down the road on the top of that. It's got some of the nicest views in town. You don't realize how high that site sits.
That is. Is Marion, so is that on schedule, the Marion Road
Yes.
construction's perfect? Because
Yep,
I was worried
that's
about that.
well underway. Actually, the city hired the same engineers that we had
Perfect.
for this site, for our site, as doing that work. So kind of stay on top of what's going on, and they give me a little insight. So it's really, I think that's progressing as well.
Is there a possibility to put both the Ben Rifle and Jefferson drone and maybe the 3D or what things are supposed to look like on the website for like boundaries? People who are curious to see what the new school, if they're going to switch schools, could be too.
I don't know how much 3D they have, but we have some pictures.
Yeah.
of
The
that.
drone footage can be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just a
Maybe some of the
schematic.
2D, yeah,
Whatever pictures we have.
yeah.
We have
That'd be
some of
great.
those- You have some of that graphics that we could put in there
Yeah.
as well. That really kind of shows what the inside's going to look like. Next month, I'd like to do a drone and then hit areas and you can see the inside as
That'd
we
be
go
awesome.
around it.
Yeah.
You know, so you can see the A and as you go. So you might be able to experience a little bit of what I'm talking about as far as the lighting, what's happening inside.
You know, I think we keep talking about, fall 21. And yes, that's when the school opens for business for educating students. However, I love to hear things like the football field and the track and the tennis courts and all of those things, because those are such huge parts of the school as well.
Yep.
And so as people are thinking, June 1st is when a lot of activities in our current school start. And so we would want to have the same opportunities available for the students at Jefferson. And so knowing that we're really prioritizing those things so that they get the same opportunities and have the same practice times and the same open gyms and the same types of activities that the rest of the city gets, I think is important for people to understand too. So
Yep.
thanks for kind of highlighting those areas today as you were giving us a tour.
So I'm thinking we're going to be okay there and ready to go. So, yeah, a lot of work to do. We experience something different every day, but the majority of things I always say is once you get out of the ground and get the main structure up, the other ones are cosmetic things that you can deal with fairly economically. The other ones can be big, and everybody the design team has done a great job of putting this together. So.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jeff? Seeing none, do I have a motion to acknowledge the current and future project status report for the district's capital improvement projects?
Second.
A motion second. I'll take roll call. Board Member Tolke?
Aye.
Board Member Ryder?
Aye.
Board Member Baker?
Aye.
Board Member Parker? Aye. And Board Member Mickelson? Aye. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Anything else? I'd just like to remind the public that June 3rd is our work session, the first one on the boundaries. So 2 p.m. is our start time. So we will provide opportunities for public input if you want. But if you want to still submit to Let's Talk or email or call any board members, our numbers and the emails are on the website. So please reach out to us. And the task force will be wrapping up this evening. So at that June 3rd meeting, we'll be getting the report from our consultant and the task force. So thank you very much for all the input that has been provided during this process. We know it's an emotional and change is hard for anybody. Nobody likes change except for a baby wearing a wet diaper. So we are going to do what is the best for our school district as a whole and take in all considerations. So thank you. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call. Board Member Tolke.
Aye.
Board Member Ryder.
Aye.
Board Member Baker. Board Member Parker. Aye. And Board Member Mickelson. We are adjourned. Thank you.